to another video in our summer series. And in today's video, I will be interviewing Jalen Evans, who's in high school and also volunteered with us here at the Boys and Girls Club of Contra Costa. You guys may recognize him from Jasper's video yesterday. I'm super excited, so tune in. Awesome, so I am here with my friends Bronwyn and
but I was so close to Canada. I'm like, I can't quit now.
Are you going to be a senior in high school?
Yeah.
Or a junior?
Yeah, I'm a rising senior.
Nice. That's awesome. Are you excited for your senior year of high school?
Yeah, I'm definitely really excited for senior year. Looking at schools, rounding it out strong. I really like how in senior year you can kind of have a bit more freedom with your classes. At least you get like a bit more choice as to going to what you're interested in and stuff like that. But yeah, senior year is always really exciting.
Yeah.
We'll see the mix of virtual in person, how long that lasts.
Definitely.
But it's still going to be an impactful year nonetheless.
How did you learn how to swim? Who taught you?
Mm-hmm.
Or what was that process like? How old were you when you learned how to swim?
Yeah. So for me, both of my parents know how to swim. And both of them I was fortunate enough for both of them to know the importance of water safety. And know like how important it is for people to know how to swim just so that they don't drown. So I was put in swim lessons at a pretty young age, at around 3, at Splash Swim School, which is kind of like a local swim school for us. I think it took me about a year to really become like fully proficient in the water.
That's still very good at like 3 years old.
Yeah, so it was really great for me to get to sort of get involved when I was younger. Because I was fortunate enough that my parents knew how important it was for me to be safe in the water and stuff like that. So I got involved at a very young age. Luckily, it wasn't through any kind of traumatic experience or anything like that.
Me being who I am, now as an adult, I love to swim. I love being in the water. And since I don't have like a pool or anything at my house, I'm like, where can I go swimming? But public stuff.
Yeah.
Public pools are like high risk. When was the last time you've been swimming?
I've actually been swimming a lot because for my club team,
nice, right.
They were actually able to sort of resume practices a little bit, although there's a social distancing aspect to it. But it's been, really great to be back in the pool with them.
That's awesome.
We all wear masks and do stuff like that. Hopefully everyone stays safe and COVID doesn't come into our camp. Which we have to shut down. But either way, no matter what happens, it's just been great to be back in the pool, sort of get back in shape after taking such a long break.
Right. Is this the longest break you've taken from swimming? Yeah.
I think this is probably the longest break I've taken from swimming for probably 5 years.
Wow. Yeah.
Since I started swimming sort of year round, because I used to swim only in the summers. So during the night I'd take long breaks, but I was pretty young, so it was kind of different. So
yeah,
it definitely felt like a really long time. The longest break we usually take is around a month, a little under a month.
It's a club team, so do you guys compete?
Yeah, the team that I'm currently on, we compete. So I've been doing kind of competitive swimming since I was 8 years old.
Nice.
I guess according to my parents, the people who were teaching me at swim school were like, hey, he may want to pursue competitive. He's, pretty good at swimming. So they just decided to put me in just at a summer league. I enjoyed it. I would do it over the summers. As it got more and more, I guess, important to me, one of my friends who I kind of used to compete against, he started to swim in the fall along with the summers. And I was like, well, I don't want to fall behind him.
Yeah.
So I was like, so I'm going to swim during the fall too. And then he started swimming year round. So I was like, you know what, I'll follow suit. So I started swimming year round. That's really when swimming sort of became very important for me. I've been on a few different club teams, but I've been swimming year round since I was about 12 years old. And, I really love the sport. I love competing and training and, all those different aspects of it.
So you're on a team separate than your school, right? So you don't swim with your school or anything?
I swim for both. So although I do swim on my club team year round and in the winters when my school sport isn't active, in the spring when my school sport, when school swimming becomes active, I swim for them. I swim for them since ninth grade, and I plan to continue swimming for them through 12th grade as well. So we'll do both at the same time when that season's active.
When was it that you decided that you wanted to kind of like teach younger kids about water safety?
Yeah. So, being a competitive swimmer, I have been, as I said, since I was 8, year-round since I was 12. So, obviously I really love the sport, but something that I had always seen in it, because it's very apparent, is the lack of diversity in the sport.
Yes.
Swimming, just stuff like that. You see that there's very few people of color doing, not people of color, but there's very few African American students swimming.
Definitely agree.
So that was something that, I had seen as someone who's, an African American swimmer. And I kind of wanted to figure out where that came from,
Yes.
sort of understand, I guess, why that was, because I really never understood. So actually, at our school in ninth grade, we were allowed to do an iSearch research project, which is pretty much a research project on any historical issue that you kind of wanted. So
Wow, okay.
my topic ended up being sort of racial diversity in swimming, and just sort of like
Wow, I love
the
it.
historical aspect of that. So kind of through my research, just to summarize, I pretty much found that throughout kind of like the 20th century, there was a lot of discrimination of African Americans and sort of other people of color from swimming pools, from private swimming pools, from public swimming pools, that sort of left African American families and other, families of color with kind of like a legacy of fear towards swimming. So it was kind of like brought up bad memories, so they kind of just stayed away from the water. And there also wasn't very much access to public pools because there's kind of like a wave of public pool closures. So all of this kind of made it so that they had a lack of access to swimming, and there's also kind of a legacy of fear throughout the whole family that made it so, there was very little incentive to learn to swim. It wasn't part of the culture, I guess, anymore. But water safety I found was important, not only because, I guess, for me, from the competitive scene, it was like, well, there's no competitive swimmers. Obviously, with more people coming into the sport, it'd probably make it faster, make it better, but also because of the issue of drowning, which I found was also very prevalent. I actually found, a lot of shocking statistics, like African Americans drown at a rate of like 5 times higher than
Wow.
stuff like that.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yeah, so all of that stuff kind of led me to, being a swimmer, being kind of that position. I wanted to, make a change in my sport, and more importantly, kind of prevent drowning, because drowning is, a very big cause of death, especially in younger children. But it's also a very preventable cause of death. So I really wanted to get involved in that way. So actually getting through that. So this year, I decided that I kind of wanted to start doing something to kind of like address the issues I had found in my research.
Yeah.
So I realized that kind of the best way to do that would probably be to educate people about the importance of water safety, because it's not necessarily that, I guess, access is important, but I can try to help provide people with resources for that. But I think a lot of it is that not only is there a kind of lack of access, but there's a lack of incentive, because you just don't hear about it that much.
Yes.
Depending on your community, it's just not that something that's stressed. Then all of a sudden you're in a body of water, and then things go wrong. So I want to just kind of go into different areas and teach them about water safety, and teach the children about water safety, so that they can bring it to their parents and hopefully learn how to swim. So that way, hopefully, maybe they'll enjoy it so much they'll want to join competitive swimming. But if nothing else, they'll want to, they'll be able to swim so that they won't drown in. So that won't be an issue anymore. And we'll sort of, over time, through my efforts and the efforts of many other people, organizations, stuff like that, sort of take away that legacy of fear and sort of re-embed it in the culture. So it's something that's kind of like in a lot of, White House and something that's kind of stated like, oh yeah, of course we're going to teach our kid how to swim. It's really important.
So that it almost becomes like more common too. Like, like it's just something you do with your kids. Like you learn the alphabet, you learn how to swim, like, even though like swimming might not be as common as learning the alphabet, but it does come to those circumstances where eventually, right, you're gonna end up in a body of water or somewhere. And especially with like kids and younger kids, like they're curious, and so
Yeah.
sometimes they don't have that like, oh, maybe I should stop or I should wait, or it's just sometimes where somebody might even just fall into something. Um, when my sisters were in middle school, they were at a friend's house and they were swimming, and one of their friends actually drowned. And so they weren't younger kids, but they were preteens. And so I mean the experience was like traumatic for everybody, but at the same time, they weren't prepared, right? You went a little too far. You jumped in a area that was like too deep for you. And actually, surprisingly, like I didn't even know like my sisters were such good swimmers to actually help out. And I think it's important for adults as well to be prepared, for like for water safety as well, and like what to do. Um, So there's a lot that goes into it, especially people who look like us, African Americans, because they're like, oh, we don't have access to a pool, we don't have a pool, we're not going to go into a pool, so it doesn't. It's like in the back of our minds, right? Like, because like, well, we'll deal with it when we get there, but you just never know, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, Colin Jones, who is arguably like probably the most successful African American competitive swimmer
Yes.
ever exists. Like, he started swimming because he almost drowned when he was young. So, it's just it's such an important issue, and it's so kind of, but it's so kind of put to the back burner, kind of like as you
Definitely.
said. And obviously, there's more issues than just knowing that it's important. Finding pools, trying to make that more accessible to low-income people, things like that. But I think it starts with the knowledge that water safety is important, and I think that once you get that knowledge and it's something that you have to prioritize, then we can talk about trying to find more ways to have access and create more opportunities to learn to swim.
All right, Jalen, thank you so much. I'm gonna end the call now, so
Yeah.
I'll talk to you later.
Thank you. I'll talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.
I want to thank Jalen again for giving us his time for that interview, and also the amazing job he did in Jasper's video. It was so much fun to watch. And thank you guys for tuning in. And if you guys have any ideas or suggestions, feel free to email me, and I will see you guys next week on Amaya Explains It All. Bye.